Hello, welcome to CEO Insights, the Living Organization podcast with Vitaly Giman. With me is Mark Miller. First of all, Mark, welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
It's really a pleasure to have you. Mark is the CEO of Lion's Den, a retail chain company of adult products. So I think over 50 retail stores now, over 300 people in 22 states. Oh, wow. I remember all the numbers, which is amazing. I'm I'm not a banking guy. So, Mark, let me first ask you, because this is a very special interview for me. I interview a lot of CEOs who are not familiar with the living organization at all. But me and you have met probably 3 years or more, and you've been working quite intensely in with the living organization framework. The first question I have, what was the original challenge that attracted you to this kind of work?
Well, I I think that I've always led via the living organization. I just didn't know it. Certainly, I believed in the principles, and then whenever I was had the pleasure of being introduced to you and Norman, it illustrated to me that again, those core principles that that the living organization is based on is really the best way to lead your organization. It allows you to connect with your people better, and it allows you to be not only thoughtful but to let them know, each and every person that works in the organization, that you care about them, not only personally but professionally as well.
Wonderful. Yeah, I could also, even the first time I spoke to, I remember, I go, wow, this is an interesting gentleman. He already understands my language. Usually I have to translate into a different language. But do you remember what was the challenge at the time? I remember there was just some tensions in the group.
Yeah. We this organization is about it's now 53 years old. So I think at the time we were about a 50-year-old company, and we had some long-term tenured employees who definitely had a way of doing things and a way of wanting to continue to do those things. And it was in I think pretty stark contrast to what I was trying to accomplish. And so, getting everyone together and getting everyone to agree on a way to move forward was, I think, my main objective for introducing everyone to the living organization, and getting them to see how powerful it would be to have us all collaboratively come together, come up with solutions, and then being able to get everyone's agreement and buy-in to say, look, this wasn't my idea, it wasn't Pete's idea, it wasn't Gary's idea. These are ideas that we all agreed on, and not only did we agree on the idea, but we agreed on how we were going to move forward to achieve the objectives that we had as a group.
Yeah, so important. So it's very much about working together as a team and really considering, really caring for each other, and having a kind of a we mentality rather than me mentality. From a business perspective, what was other challenges in terms of business growth perspective? I remember you wanted to grow faster, right?
Yeah. So, I think for us, we may not be typical in that. I think the most popular method of growth today is acquisition. There's a lot of private equity money available, and it had started to come into our industry, and was certainly a tool that we could use. But our experience has been that organic growth is probably what's best. And so, to achieve a pretty ambitious goal, we could not be divided. We could not be, 7 different ideas on how to get where we wanted to go. We had to have a single vision, a single way of thinking about how we were going to go about, again, this pretty ambitious growth goal that we had. And so, again, I think that the basis for, at least for me, I kind of boil this down to, leadership, particularly here, is nothing more than earning people's trust, and you gain influence by earning their trust day after day after day. And so putting all those thoughts that we had together that we agreed on, and figuring out how to trust one another to get to the end goal, that was really, I think, what we accomplished. And it's a work in process. We're not there yet, but getting all of us on the same page initially to move toward that goal, it was invaluable for me. And I think that if you surveyed the leadership team, they would all say it was equally invaluable to them.
Wonderful. So you got some alignment, you got some trust, you could build more trust and much deeper relationships. How did it affect your growth objectives? Did you see an effect on your number of stores you
Y-
opened?
Yes. So our overall total hasn't changed a whole lot, but I think another side effect of this is we really took a look at, you know, it wasn't enough just to have a number. All of the stores need to be performing well.
Right.
And if they're not performing well, then, we need to act like a typical business and evaluate, come up with the criteria that we want to use to say, yes, this is a location that we think we should keep. If we felt like we could elevate the performance of an underperforming store, then we would agree to keep it open. But if not, if there were factors that just led us to the conclusion that it was never going to be a performer, then we've closed a number of stores. So I think that we're in a net position over the last 3 years of, I think, +5. But we've opened more stores in that period. We've just closed a number to offset some of that growth. So yes, we've definitely opened more stores in the last few years than we have been previously.
That makes total sense. I mean, so what I think what you're saying is you're a much healthier company because you got rid of what wasn't performing and you opened up more higher performing locations.
That's exactly right. And it's not easy to make the decisions that were made on some of the underperforming stores, because again, for me, I care about the employees who were affected by that closure. And so, we've tried to take care of those folks as well. We offer to relocate them and bring them to locations that are going to continue to maintain operations. And so, but it's a necessary exercise if you are to ensure the overall health of the organization.
Absolutely. And Mike, how did it change you? I mean, it's been a process, right? It's been quite intimate, sometimes challenging process, right? Where both the conversations were very challenging. How did the last 3 years of following this path of leadership changed you personally?
It's made a huge difference in me. I think the biggest area for me to improve on was to really become more empathetic. And I could always find a way to form a connection. But when you implement the pause, shift, and center, and you really come to a place where no matter the scenario, you're trying to connect with that person on a more personal level, to connect with them, not just because of decisions that are made or not made, or because of key performance objectives that were met or not met. When you really connect with that person with your heart, it makes a huge difference. And that was something that I needed to work on. My background was very much kind of a numbers, and leading through achievements as it related to specific objectives. And I think for me, now that I've expanded, what I see as successful or unsuccessful, to include a more personal, more heart-centered approach, it creates very meaningful relationships internally, which again goes to building that trust, and earning it's truly earning that trust every day, so that, trust is nothing, influence is nothing more than gaining trust day after day after day. And so it took me some time to figure out how effective becoming heart centered could really be in that goal for me personally.
Wonderful. I have last question. I was holding on to it, but I wanted to ask it. So what about your executives? Have you seen a change in their how they operate?
Yeah,
Your executive.
yeah, for sure. I think that when you set an objective, and it's a very high level, I think that we call it our soulful purpose. And when you get agreement from everyone on your leadership team, regardless of the size of that team, that they all say the same thing about why we're here doing what we do every day, it's very powerful. And I think that, it's that beacon on the hill that everyone is marching towards. And I'm not sure that we fully had that. I think there were individuals who had objectives, but collectively, I don't think that we did until we began this process of working within the living organization environment. And it's definitely helped get a focus, I would say, for our group, and not only on the endpoint, but how we get there.
So true. The process of getting there is just as important as getting there, right?
For sure. To set the destination without giving some guidelines. And again, my leadership style is sometimes the shortest point between home and next door is to go straight from out your front door to the right next door. But at times you need to go around the block to get there, and that's okay. There's lessons to be learned in following both of those paths. And I think that lesson for our team to say, look, yeah, we can take one path that's already been plotted, but we can plot our own path as well, and we might learn something or gain some really valuable insight if we take that other path. That's been good for me and the team as well.
Mark, thank you so much. Really appreciate having you here. Appreciate the journey, the courage that you've taken. I believe it takes a lot of guts, actually, put it bluntly, to go through this. It's easier not to do this. So I really appreciate you, and would love to have you back again on the CEO Insights.
Thanks, Vitaly. Appreciate you having me.